Hello and welcome everybody to our panel for today. We are honored and privileged to be here with all of you today at South by Southwest. Before we get started, we're just going to play a little video you might recognize.
Eagle, we got you now. It's looking good, over. Roger, copy. Eagle, Houston, after yaw around angles, S-band pitch, -9er, yaw, +18. Roger, you're a go to continue power descent. You're a go to continue power descent.
Altitude now 21,000 feet, still looking very good. Velocity down now to 1,200 feet per second.
You're looking great to us, Eagle. Give us a reading on the 1202 program alarm. Roger, we got you. We're going at alarm.
Good radar data. We're now in the approach phase, everything looking good. Altitude 4,200.
Houston, you're a go for landing, over. Roger, understand. Go for landing. 3,000 feet. Copy. Alarm.
Altitude 1,600. 1,400 feet, still looking very good.
700 feet, 21 down. 33 degrees. 100 feet, down at 19. 1201. 1201. Roger, 1201 alarm. We're go. Same type. We're go. Altitude, velocity light, 3.5 down, 220 feet, 13 forward, 11 forward, coming down nicely, 200 feet, 4.5 down, 5.5 down, 60 seconds, lights on, 6, down 2.5, forward, forward, that's 40 feet, down 2.5, picking up some dust. 4 forward, drifting to the right a little. Good. Okay. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. We copy you down, Eagle. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Okay, show of hands. How many people have seen that video before? Okay, wow. Okay, a lot of people. We're actually going to go through a couple of images, and if you recognize the image, I also want you to raise your hand. This is the first one. Have you seen this image? Okay, a couple of you. This is astronaut Ed White doing the first American spacewalk in 1965 during the Gemini 4 mission. This image, how many people have seen this image? Okay, this is the first space shuttle launch in 1981, STS-1, with astronauts John Young and Robert Crippen on board. How many people have seen this image? Okay, yeah, okay, wow, a lot of you, okay. This is Buzz Aldrin saluting the American flag during the Apollo 11 mission, 1969. How many of you have seen this? Okay, handful of you, okay. This is Pluto. This is Pluto as captured by our New Horizons spacecraft, 2015. Look at it in all of its glory. This image, okay. Not as many people for this one. This is astronaut Bruce Candles on a spacewalk in 1984. This was the first time they used the manned maneuvering unit, which was the little hand-controlled device that you can move around space with. And this last image, how many people have seen this image? Okay, awesome, lots of people. So this image is from our James Webb Space Telescope of the Carina Nebula. So the reason why I'm discussing all of these pictures and I showed you the video is because we're here to talk about how NASA is able to capture this imagery from very far places in our universe and bring it back to Earth, and then find a way to share it with all of you. And so clearly we've done a good job with most of these because people seem to recognize these images. And it's a really complicated process. You know, there's no Wi-Fi in space yet, maybe one day. So it's a very complicated process that takes a lot of people coming together, a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours put in to make it possible for us to share this imagery with all of you. So our first question for our panelists today, very simple one. who are you? What do you do for NASA? And I will start. My name is Thalia Petrinos. I'm a communications strategist for NASA. I don't want to talk too much about the work that I do because I really want to focus on the work that my panelists do. But I'll just say this. I have had the privilege of representing NASA at South by Southwest for the past 3 years in a row. And for the past 3 years in a row, I have missed my husband's birthday to be here. Today's actually his birthday, so I have to give him a little shout out. Happy birthday, Lucas. Thanks for letting me be here. Awesome. Oh, Sammy, who are you? What do you do for NASA?
My name is Sammy Aziz. I'm the executive producer of live broadcasts for the agency, for NASA, head of live. It's an honor and a privilege to serve in this role. I'll also just flag that moon landing footage, every time I watch it, I'm still thinking, are they going to make it? Are they going to make it? Even though it happened 60 plus years ago, but it's that nerve-wracking. You know, the stakes are so high with space flight and space exploration. But yes, I have the honor of putting on all the live broadcasts for the agency. And what that means is whether we're doing a launch, a landing, a splashdown, an astronaut announcement, a solar eclipse, an asteroid impact, whatever it is, we get to put a broadcast together. And there is no template for this. There is no one size fits all, especially these days when we're working with commercial partners. It gets increasingly more challenging, but in an interesting way, because we're all breaking new barriers and getting best practices and learning from each other as we explore and go further out. So it's a really exciting time for space. For a television producer like me who comes from the unscripted world, shout out to my Shark Tank colleagues in the audience. It's been an amazing 4 years, and I'm really excited for what's to come.
Awesome, thank you. Jeremy, who are you? What do you do for NASA?
So I'm Jeremy Myers. I'm the Artemis imagery subject matter expert, also government furnished equipment for Artemis. I'm the lead for that hardware. So I've been with NASA several years. It's interesting, I started as a maintenance developer for the ecosystem for stations. So basically, the toilet on space station, I wrote the maintenance procedures. So I told everyone at first I was the janitor on station. They were sorry I went to school so long to do that. But on the side, I was actually a wedding photographer. And after the Columbia accident, we were trying to do analysis on what happened. They combined my imagery expertise outside of NASA with my engineering background, turned into a full career. And that led even to, as you see, during the shuttle program after the Columbia accident, we started to put the cameras on the vehicle to look at the health of the vehicle, to make sure that the crew would get back safely, and also that we were prepared to fly again. So began that career of actually working on the hardware, not just doing analysis on imagery, beginning with the shuttle program.
Awesome, thank you. Zibi, who are you and what do you do for NASA?
I'm Zibi Turtle. I'm a planetary scientist at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory. And I've always been inspired by the images that have come back from the exploration of space, from the personal scale of human exploration to the vast, spectacular astrophysical objects. I've been fortunate over my career to get to work with camera teams on several NASA missions, including the Galileo camera team, which explored Jupiter and its moons. And looking forward from that, I'm the principal investigator of the Europa Imaging System, the cameras on the Europa Clipper mission that just launched in October. I also got to work with the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter cameras that revealed our moon in exquisite detail. And I got to work with the cameras on the Cassini mission, exploring the Saturnian system, the rings, and the moons, and in particular, the moon Titan, which is the only moon in the solar system that has an atmosphere. It's a little hazy, and the Cassini cameras and other systems on the Cassini orbiter were designed specifically to be able to image the surface of Titan under this haze. What you're seeing here is actually imagery taken from the Huygens probe. This was a separate probe that the Cassini orbiter carried to the Saturnian system, dropped off at Titan. It descended down through the atmosphere and to study the atmosphere, but also took images as it descended. And I still get goosebumps seeing this footage. It was the first time we saw Titan up close, and one of the things you can see, like in the lower left, there's this channeled terrain. It looks really Earth-like, but this is this alien world in the outer solar system where the channels are carved in a bedrock of water ice by methane rain. And so it's this absolutely fascinating place, and looking forward, I'm the principal investigator of the NASA Dragonfly New Frontiers mission that's going to send a rotorcraft to take advantage of Titan's atmosphere to be able to fly from place to place to explore the chemistry of Titan and take images, aerial images, in fact, as we fly over the surface.
It's so exciting. Awesome. So before we talk about what's coming up next for all of you, I want to go back a little bit and ask you, whose shoulders are you standing on? And by that I mean, which historic mission set the precedent for the work that you do today and pushed you to go even further? So Sammy, whose shoulders are you standing on?
Probably half this audience will agree with me that just the Apollo missions and landing humans on the moon between 1969 and 1972 was incredibly inspiring. It's incredible what was achieved, and the bar was set so high with the technology that existed at that time. When I grew up, I would always tell people that my role model was Neil Armstrong. I never thought I would work at NASA, but NASA is a place that has creative people and attracts it, which is really, really great. I feel like I'm standing on incredibly tall shoulders because now it's not lost on me that in the position I currently have at NASA, I have to build the next moon landing broadcast. And thinking about that and the differences between what happened in Apollo, there's a lot of differences and there's a lot of similarities. Like, we're landing on the moon, but this time we're landing on the south pole of the moon, and the lighting conditions are different, and the technology is totally separate, and we're putting Wi-Fi on the moon, and we want to do it in UHD, so it's totally separate. I can't just show you what we did 60 years ago. You want to really feel like we're there, and I want, without a shadow of a doubt, for you to believe, yes, we are in fact on the moon, and we're broadcasting live. So I feel like I'm on incredibly tall shoulders, but also really inspired that is the mission that I look to, the program that I look to, that kind of sets this bar.
Yeah, no pressure. Right? Jeremy, whose shoulders are you standing on?
Speaking of no pressure, so trying to get those images back from the moon to develop this hardware, I mean, that's a challenge that has existed even when we go. We're not seeing a video for some reason. But if we think of the Apollo missions, there were separation clips that happened. There was challenges of downlinking video even during the Apollo program. So for the Apollo program, for instance, when we'd have a separation event on a vehicle, these pods would fall off and we'd go recover them in the ocean. Sometimes we lost transmission. That meant a shark ate the capsule. So different than what we think of losing transmission today for the future Apollo program. But at any rate, thinking of the work that those engineers done at that time, and we think of bringing back to modern technology. Well, modern technology is a much different challenge. We think of the cameras were more mechanical in nature versus now when we have this technology, small feature sizes, which can lead to destructive events from radiation, and really a lot of our off-the-shelf hardware imagery that we see today, we can't do. Or we can't get that imagery from those cameras or them to survive long in space. Who else? I would like to say maybe Ansel Adams, but that's probably, I'm an engineer, we're not a photographer at heart, even though I shot some people's weddings. But really to think of developing this hardware, to have that privilege, being taught by these groups that were just developing avionics, because really a camera is just a special sensor. At NASA, often the camera teams are placed with the sensors teams. But what we do know is I'm pretty sure everybody's favorite sensor is a camera, because that's what we all love. And nothing's better than not only pictures, but the videos that tell the stories, so that Sammy can share that message with the whole world, and we all can enjoy it. That's why everyone's here, is because of really the shoulders and what we appreciate so many people around the world's done to capture these images, from the technical side to the production side, down to the analysis, to the scientists and everyone. Really, it helps bring us together.
That's beautiful. Zibi, whose shoulders are you standing on?
I got to grow up with the Voyager mission extending out and teaching us about the outer solar system, going from knowing not much to flying by each of the giant planets. The early encounters happened when I was in school and revealed incredible discoveries like the volcanism at Io. And the young surfaces of the icy satellites, which it turns out often harbor interior vast oceans of liquid water in the present day. The Uranus encounter occurred when I was in college. It answered a lot of questions, but also raised a lot more mysteries about the ice giants in the far outer solar system. And then the Neptune encounter I was in grad school for. We thought we knew what to expect at Neptune, but it surprised us at pretty much every turn. In fact, I took a course in college about what we learned at Uranus and what we're going to find at Neptune, and it was basically a course in what we're going to be wrong about at Neptune. And it really just showed me, right, the universe has a better imagination than we do most of the time. And one of the things that's incredible is that the Voyagers are still going. So this is from the last image sequence taken by Voyager 1 in 1990, right before they turned off the cameras. It did a family portrait of the solar system, a 60-image sequence to observe the sun and the planets. And as part of that sequence, this is our Earth from 4 billion miles, taken by the Voyager spacecraft as a pale blue dot. The Voyagers have not been taking images since then, but they are continuing to operate and are out at 13 and 15 billion miles from the sun, still sending back data out in interstellar space, which is spectacular.
Yeah. To quote Carl Sagan, that's here. That's home. That's us. So now that we've talked about these past missions that have inspired each of you, let's talk about something that you've worked on recently. What are some obstacles that you had to overcome in the process, and what did you learn from that process? Sammy, we'll start with you again.
I'll start and say space is hard. The schedule is relentless. It's hard to keep track because the next thing comes. But what you're seeing here is the DART launch, DART Impact, Double Asteroid Redirection Test. We launched this September 2021 and November 2022. So November 2021 it launched, September 2022, 10 months later. A smart nav camera tracked this asteroid by design. This traveled 470 million miles, and by the time impact happened, it was 6.8 million miles from Earth. And we broadcast this live to the world. We were at Johns Hopkins doing a broadcast from there, and that red signifies end of mission. We did it. We rammed into an asteroid, hopefully slightly knocked it off course as a test to know if one day, if we track something so far out, do we have enough time to knock it off and before it reaches Earth. So that was one of the most out of this world broadcasts I've ever done. It was beginning to end of mission. It was incredibly inspiring to be part of that one.
And no one's ever been happier to see an image stop, like imaging stop coming back from space.
Exactly. Like there's no greater confirmation than the camera is broken. What you're seeing now is Orion coming down to Earth on Artemis 2. So this is Artemis 1. Sorry, this was December of 2022. So this was after a 26-day mission. We launched from Kennedy Space Center, traveled 26 days around the moon as part of an uncrewed flight test to test the human-rated capsule and its heat shield. So this is the human-rated capsule that's gone farthest past the moon. This is the ones that our astronauts will fly in Artemis 2 next year. And this is footage. I don't get to pick where we put the cameras. Engineers like Jeremy and Zibi get to decide that, but I certainly get to ask for the views and make sure that we include them in the broadcast and pull them up and show you when we're in the middle of these live broadcasts. So being able to show things like drogue shoot deploy and main shoot deploy and then splash down in the Pacific Ocean 300 miles southwest of San Diego, to be sitting in a control room at Kennedy Space Center for launch of the most powerful launch vehicle ever at the time. And then 26 days later to be sitting on this Navy ship as this thing splashes down was pretty incredible and a huge achievement. We actually were able to broadcast this via Starlink, so thank you to SpaceX and the technology. This is ever evolving, right? We didn't have this a few years ago, and now we're able to strap 2 Starlinks to a ship and get this in UHD back to our control rooms. So pretty amazing to be part of that, and really looking forward to sending humans around the moon next year. And then most recently, in April of last year, we had the total solar eclipse, and this was, again, another out-of-the-box broadcast. This was the most complicated broadcast NASA has ever put on. So 3,000 miles, 12 locations, 63 cameras, 300 production team members on camera and off, putting this together. And we were able to broadcast the eclipse. This is Holton, Maine, one of our last spots, from Earth, and then the eclipse from the International Space Station live to give viewers the perspective from both angles. And I thought that was incredible that we were able to do this, and massive teams working behind the scenes to make it possible. We had about 40 million viewers watching this, and it was pretty exciting to see the payoff and to see that people care. People want to see it. We don't control the sun. We don't own the sun as NASA, but we certainly do a pretty damn good job telling its story.
And Sammy, you talked about space is hard. You've been traveling nonstop for the past couple weeks, right? Because we've had a few launches, we've had a few moon landings, so you've been working lots of hours, weekends, early mornings, late nights.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that in a little bit here, but it's been a little bit crazy.
And Jeremy, what's something recent that you have accomplished?
So looking at the eclipse that we saw there, fortunately, I didn't have to work like Sammy, so I enjoyed it. Like many of you, though, but it reminded me of really what we look forward to with Artemis, and that is it's going to unite us. It does unite us, not just as the U.S., but as the world, because we're all going to be watching this. So as we developed Artemis 1, I was the lead for the cameras that are on the vehicle. So to capture the images such as you see here, I mean, there's a lot of work here. A lot of times we are starting with an off-the-shelf product. But what we're trying to watch are separation events, such as what you see in these videos. Once again, not only do we get these cool images, and I like looking at these. If you look at the little dot, you'll see we actually have the moon that was captured in those launches. But this allowed us to do analysis so that we're ready to fly again. When we were doing the testing for the cameras we see here, some of the shock and vibration levels were at a level such that we had to go to special facilities. There were only certain facilities could even test at these levels because it's so extreme. So we talk about our rugged action cameras. Well, we're on a totally different level. In fact, we have patents now on the processes we've developed to ruggedize these cameras. So, you know, it's very often we take things for granted, and to just be able to capture some of these images, we don't realize how much work there is, but we got to keep Sammy happy so that he can keep you happy.
Awesome. Zibi, what's something recent that you've accomplished, and what did you learn in the process?
Well, there's a long journey here on Earth before we even get to space. In October, Europa Clipper launched, and that was the culmination of a few decades of work by thousands of people. And for the cameras specifically, the Europa Imaging System, which consists of 2 cameras, the team proposed those cameras in 2014. So it was 10 years almost 10 years to the day from when the proposal went in for those cameras to NASA to when we launched. And over that decade, almost 1,000 people worked on the cameras themselves. Not only the science and the engineering, but also the management and developing the operations, providing logistical support, doing outreach. It's a huge team of people, which makes it really fun. This whole team was thrilled to take our first image in space Now, I know this doesn't look like much. The covers on the cameras are both closed because we're still in the inner solar system for a couple of years. And the optics are really sensitive, so we need to protect them from the sun when we're in the inner solar system. So this is what we call a dark image, taken with the cover closed. But I'm happy to share this with you today. This is actually being released for the first time today. And the reason this is so exciting is that this image, the brightness levels here match the brightness levels across the chip that we saw during our testing here on Earth. And what that's telling us is that the cameras are working well, behaving as we expect in space. And so this was a huge achievement for for that entire team of people who designed, developed, built, tested, like you were talking about, the vibration testing, the environmental testing, integrated these onto the spacecraft and developed the operations. And it's really thrilling, even though it's a dark image. We open the covers in 2027 once we're finally out beyond out into the outer solar system where it'll be safe. And so we'll have a lot of calibration activities after that, and the images will be a little more interesting, but this is still thrilling.
Awesome. Congratulations. The cameras work. Yay. Awesome. Okay. This is probably maybe our most important question. What's next for you? I think everyone wants to know. What is coming down the pipe? What are you personally excited about when you think about the future of space exploration? Sammy, we'll start with you.
Vacation. Thalia indicated a busy week, and it's been an incredibly busy few weeks for space. Very exciting time for the moon. About 8 days ago, I was in Austin for Firefly lunar landing. So we have a program called Commercial Lunar Payload Services. Not program, it's an initiative. And basically, it's like Ubering to the moon. So NASA sends payloads, but we're not in charge of the spacecraft. We don't have to care about its maintenance or how it gets there. We just say, we want these delivered to this region. This was our second commercial lunar landing that you're watching right now. This just happened like 8 days ago. We did not have this live because all of this bandwidth is necessary for the telemetry. So we were able to broadcast a live image, and we had lots of on-screen graphics to show what was happening and getting confirmation from mission control. Then we also had intuitive machines that landed just a few days later on the southernmost landing ever on the moon, and it was done by a commercial company, so very exciting there. We're also launching SphereX and Punch, which is to map our cosmos and also study the sun. That's happening tonight. It scrubbed last night. And then tomorrow, we're launching Crew 10 to the International Space Station. So I've had crews all over the country for the last few weeks. It's been a very exciting time, and all of this while continuing to map out what's coming. So we're already having big conversations on Artemis 2 and sending humans around the moon. And conversations on Artemis 3 and landing on the moon with boots on the ground. And what goes into that? And as I alluded to earlier, there's a lot. It's not like Apollo. We don't launch out of Saturn V and carry our lunar lander with us and rendezvous with it and then land. In this case, our human landing system launches before us and gets to lunar orbit before us. And we have to do a propellant transfer in space that's never been done before. And then our crew launches. And then our crew rendezvous with that human landing system around the moon. And then they descend to the moon. And then we have 3 or 4 extravehicular activities or moonwalks, which is departing our safe haven of the human landing system and spending 6 to 8 hours on the lunar surface and doing that over 10 days. And then coming back to Earth and splashing down. And all of those are broadcasts. And all of you expect to see every minute of it. And all of you want to see it in UHD. And none of you care that it's on the south pole of the moon where the lighting conditions suck. It's really challenging. So we're trying to figure out how to tell those stories and make it known to you that this is very different than what we did in Apollo. And capture your imaginations in different ways. Bring in new technologies. We're reaching out to industry. We have listening sessions this week to hear from studios, to hear from technology companies. How can we integrate VR, AR? What tools do we have in our toolbox? What encoders, decoders, what pathways are we not thinking of to make sure that we can actually do this and do it right? So a lot of stuff coming up.
The answer is a lot of stuff. Space never sleeps, truly. Awesome. Jeremy, what's next for you?
So when we all take a trip, when you take a trip, do you take a camera? It's probably just your phone these days, but you take a camera, right? So when we return to the moon, we're going to take a camera, and we actually have it here. So the camera we're developing, we've set up a Space Act with Nikon USA, and we've been working hand in hand with them to develop this camera. This has custom hardware that NASA is developing. We've collaborated directly with Nikon to redesign the off-the-shelf camera to help it to survive the environment. So when you look at the pictures here, we've had NASA astronauts, JAXA astronauts, ESA astronauts that use this in the field because we have to be able to work through the ergonomics and make this really easy as possible. When you actually have a crew member suit up trying to use this, you see that the goal is to try to make a very complicated camera as simple as possible to use. So here in a little while, we'll show you some of the minimal buttons that we have, but how it will be able to capture those images. And not just images, but video, because this is capable of doing both. That's different than what we did during the the Apollo program, where we had two separate cameras. This will be able to do everything, really. So it'll be exciting to see what we actually are able to capture, what we can transmit down live, but also what we'll record. We can do terabytes of data very quickly if we choose to, 8K RAW, which is possible to do on this camera, but we don't have to worry about sharks, but we do have to worry about the bandwidth to get this imagery back. So it's been very exciting to work on this. I've had multiple astronauts hold this up and say, this is why we're going to the moon. No pressure on our team at all. So, but we look forward to sharing that message with all of you and all of humanity, because it's what's going to inspire us and inspire our children as well. I mean, all of you are here because you know how inspiring space is, how it really reaches our imagination, and I look forward to ensuring that all of our children and their children as well will be inspired as well.
I have one thought, and that's we've tasked Jeremy with turning this camera into a video camera, a live video camera. And that's a whole challenge that he has to take on now, because we have our human landing system that has high and wide shots. We have the helmet cams, which will provide a POV, a point of view from the astronauts. But I don't have a camera operator on the moon. So our astronauts need to be a camera operator in the moon, and we need to be able to tell them to set shots for us. And that's where this camera comes in.
And speaking of no sleep, as has been mentioned already, we completed radiation testing this past weekend. So we had 24 hours straight sleep. Oh, I wish sleep, non-sleep. When you work 24 hours, it's kind of crazy what goes through your mind there at the end. And then I had the privilege of flying directly here so that we could share this story with you. So if I sound a little crazy, maybe I am, but crazy is what makes the exciting happen.
And you have to do all sorts of testing with this camera, because the lunar environment is a hostile environment. You have the lunar dust that's very abrasive. It gets everywhere. So can you just explain a little bit about the testing that you have to do for this?
So, correct. We think of lunar dust. It's basically like jagged pieces of glass. And when we think of sand here on Earth, you know, it's smooth. We enjoy it. It's different on the moon. Very destructive. Basically, we put this kind of, I would say, like in a rock tumbler with dust. And then probably we have one of our friends from Nikon here. He probably would have been terrified seeing what we were doing to the camera. But it was able to survive because of that ruggedization we've done. Beyond that, we think of radiation. Surviving a radiation environment, everybody thinks we'll just shield it. Well, that's great unless you're thinking of a destructive event which happens from heavy ions. We call this the Hulk, handheld universal lunar camera. You can kind of tell it's the Hulk. But as I told the team last night, if we tried to shield this, it would be the Incredible Hulk because of how much shielding that would actually require. So we performed radiation testing this weekend, and I will not say it went as planned, but that's why you test, right? If we knew we were going to succeed always, we wouldn't have to test. But really, that's what you do to ensure that we will get these images so that when we land on the moon, someone's not calling me and I'm terrified.
Awesome. Zibi, what's next for you?
For the Dragonfly mission, we're actually in the development phase now. So the team is working on the final design, and what you're seeing here is the CAD model of our mobile laboratory that will fly across Titan to make chemistry measurements. It also has meteorology and seismic station capability to monitor the Titan environment. And we've got 7 science cameras as well as 2 navigation cameras. So it's a really capable lander, like I said, a mobile laboratory to explore Titan. We're in our engineering model testing, so again, doing testing to demonstrate that the vehicle will be able to survive the environment at Titan. We don't have to worry about radiation because Titan's got this great atmosphere that protects us from radiation that makes it possible to fly. But Titan is really cold. It's minus 290 Fahrenheit. On Titan, so everything has to be able to survive that environment. In fact, we have a couple of chambers that APL built that replicate the Titan environment here on Earth. So what's next for Dragonfly? We're coming up on our critical design review. This is an independent review in just a few weeks now, and the team has been working really hard to get everything in place for that. Dragonfly will launch in 2028. Space is not only hard, space is big. Launching in 2028, we get to Titan in December of 2034. And then we'll spend 3 years exploring the surface of Titan, traveling from place to place. So I already have events on my calendar out in the mid-2030s.
And I think that gives you a scale of how far away these places truly are. And just to give you an idea of how difficult it is to be able to capture data there, send it back. I mean, that's how long it's going to take for us to even to get there. So I think that helps us appreciate really how far away these places are.
Yeah, and the light time, so the time it takes for data to travel from Titan, and we'll be sending data from the surface of Titan back to Earth. We don't have relay satellites at Titan, sadly, the way we do at Mars, so the data comes back from the lander on the surface of Titan. The light time from Saturn to Earth is anywhere from 70 to 90 minutes just for light to travel. So we'll have to be patient as we wait to hear get the data from Titan.
And that's a big consideration too when we're doing live broadcasts. Like I think when we all look up and we say space, but space is many, many different things. To go to International Space Station, we hardly have a delay, a small one, but not too noticeable. On the moon, it's the same. We've got the relay satellites. When we go to Mars, there's a 3 to 22 minute delay. So as we hear, we're going to put boots on Mars. Imagine a live broadcast from there, or having any kind of two-way conversation on a live broadcast. These are challenges that we don't quite understand yet. We know they're coming, but it's going to be this instant gratification, and we want to see it right now. It will require some patience, and people like Zibi have incredible patience to be able to launch something with camera technology of today and then see the images in 8-10 years. I mean, that's incredible.
For Europa Clipper, which is already en route, happily, we're looking forward to arriving in the Jupiter system in 2030. That spacecraft will do 40 to 50 close flybys of Europa. And when I say close, it's about 15 miles at closest approach. So we'll be flying over the surface at 3 miles a second relative to Europa. So we have some of the most complex cameras ever built on the spacecraft, designed to image under those conditions. and designed to map all of Europa, to do stereo imaging to get topography of the ice, to do color imaging. We'll be searching for plumes to see if there's actually active geology, active cryovolcanism, cold volcanism at Europa. And we'll be able to image Europa at finer resolution than we've ever seen any of the objects in the outer solar system. So this is an image of Europa taken by Galileo. This is the highest resolution observation we have from Galileo, showing the complex icy surface of Europa. The scale of that image, each pixel is about 6 meters, so larger than this stage, actually, in a single pixel. With the narrow angle camera for ice, for the Europa Imaging System, we'll be able to image at half-meter pixel scale. So the pixels will be smaller than one of these chairs. And this is an image not of Europa, because we haven't seen it at this scale yet. This is an image from the GeoEye spacecraft of Antarctica at half-meter pixel scale. But that's the kind of scale that we'll be able to image Europa at, to really understand the details of the surface, how the processes that are modifying it, and to understand whether in the future we'll be able to where we'll be able to land spacecraft to take the next step in exploring Europa. And if there are large sharks on Europa, we'll be able to resolve them as well. But hopefully we'll be far enough away that they won't be a danger to the camera.
Let's hope not.